We're watching this video from downtown Atlanta, Georgia from over the weekend. Rioters unleashed chaos and violence. Now we're learning many of the terror suspects, as they now are deemed arrested and charged for the violent acts, are children of quite pampered privilege from out of state. Rioters set a police car on fire, threw explosives at buildings. It almost had a drum beat, which is really sad, because you get hit in the head with one of those, it'll kill you. Atlanta has been under siege for more than a year because of something called Stop Cop City. It's a movement to shut down a proposed training site for law enforcement and first responders. Well, you can see why they're needed. But last week, it got worse. An activist who came in from Florida shot and severely injured a Georgia State Patrol officer in the so-called autonomous zone. Police returned fire, killing that man. But like that activist, many of the violent protesters didn't even come from Atlanta. 5 of the 6 who've been arrested from out of state, 3 of them are even grinning in their mugshots after vandalizing businesses and people's property. And one of them, Francis Carroll, he's the son of a yacht-sailing multi-millionaire family from Maine. He was originally out on bail for a domestic terrorism charge already from a first few weeks ago. Molly.
Well, I mean, these were quite crazy scenes to see down in Atlanta this weekend. It's also, yes, these people have been charged. We'll see if they're actually treated seriously, if they're actually convicted. We saw in the summer of riots in 2020 that there were a few arrests for some of this domestic terrorism type activity. They were frequently let go. There was a very different prosecutorial approach with these types of Antifa rioters that, we might remember besieged the White House, federal courthouses, burned down police precincts, destroyed national monuments, or went after statues, destroyed people's property, arson. And the response from most of the regime, the elite regime in the U.S., was to fund the groups that were backing this, to support the movement. And so when you pay for things and when you finance things and you don't punish people, you get more of it. And so it's not totally surprising we're seeing this in Atlanta.
So, Emily, what's so confusing to me is, and thank you for not calling it the summer of love.
Yeah.
It's the summer of rioting. But when you look at how different a place a protester, a peaceful protester, would be after the death of George Floyd, or if maybe they feel strongly about Stop Cop City, whatever the issue is, look at that person and look at the people setting everything on fire and putting our first responders and police officers in harm's way with all of the violence that's breaking out. What does the law say about that? I mean, why didn't we see more arrests in 2020? And it's definitely different in Georgia because the officials there are going after them.
Right. The law is quite clear. It's the enforcement that suffered. It was the elected officials and the elected district attorneys that abdicated their responsibilities to enforce those laws that are very clear what the penalties are if you decide to burn down a federal building or put police officers in harm's way. I really appreciate that you pointed out the financing, the tremendous backing behind this, because let me just remind everyone what, for example, CBS said when they said that many on the left reporting say the rhetoric about Antifa is greatly exaggerated. They said it's less of an organized movement, just something of an idea. Antifa is a loose affiliation, they said, of local activists scattered across the U.S. and a few other countries. Do we call the travel to Atlanta there that resulted in 6 domestic terrorism charges, is that loose activists? Mark Bray, who wrote Antifa, the Anti-Fascist Handbook, he said, despite the media portrayal, meaning us, of a deranged, bloodthirsty Antifa, the vast majority involve no physical violence whatsoever, he said. The tactics instead are mostly online. Do you call shooting a police officer in the stomach, burning down buildings, burning down cop cars? I just wonder, also, is Rep. Catherine Clark going to condemn Antifa or acknowledge the structural component to that, the violence of those protests? Because remember, she just described it as the joy and pain of parenting. And finally, DNC advisor Kurt Bardella, he called the Republican Party a domestic terrorist cell operating in America. Is he going to acknowledge the 6 domestic terrorism charges that are playing out in Atlanta? There's not enough time in this show for me to illustrate the hypocrisy coming out of the left and the mainstream media that starkly flies in the face of those violent videos, and that those livelihood and small business owners are suffering every day in those cities.
So true. Lily.
Yeah. Well, this is what it hurts me. It's coming to people from outside, coming to a city that happens to be majority minority. 40% or so of police officers in Atlanta are minorities. So you say you're advocating for social justice or equity, representing the voices of us minorities, but you're not. What you're doing is actually hurting the very city and the home of those that you claim to be representing in the fight for justice. So it's contradictory. It is affecting the small businesses that are owned by the very people that you're supposed to be protecting in anti-police type of narrative. And at the end of the day, these actions are showing that what we need is actually more police.
But this is what you get, Mark, when you talk about, critical race theory and things where the theory is that people of color are always victims. Mm-hmm. So now you have these predominantly privileged people coming in from states that are not as culturally and racially rich wherever these people are living, apparently, because they think we need saving. So they go to Atlanta, Georgia to mix it up, I guess, to save some people and set stuff on fire so that our voices as people of color can be amplified. That is the height of woke vandalism.
No, 100%. I mean, look, these are followers of a radical ideology. One of the quotes was that you mentioned was that they're more of an ideology than an organization. You could say the same thing about Al Qaeda. These are domestic terrorists. They're the moral equivalent of neo-Nazis. Neo-Nazis are domestic terrorists, which everybody's very concerned about, are domestic terrorists who advance a ideology that killed millions of people in the 20th century. These people are neo-Marxists. Mark Bray calls them neo-Marxists who don't accept liberal democracy, and they are committing violence and terrorism in the name of a radical ideology.
Wow, just wish they'd get some jobs. Oh, they don't need them. They're
He could work on his yacht.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.